Anyone can build a wall to protect themselves. Anyone can learn the basic rules of survival. But a wall is not a home, and survival is not a life. To build a life of true influence and purpose, you must move beyond defense and become an architect. You must understand the subtle principles of design, the invisible forces of social physics that shape our world. The first rules of power teach you how to be a rock, solid, resilient, and unmovable. But these next rules will teach you how to be the river, fluid, strategic, and capable of shaping the landscape around you. Today, we explore 9 more unspoken laws. These are not rules for coercion, but principles of perception. They are drawn from the wisdom of philosophers, psychologists, and history's most effective leaders. This is the next level of understanding, not just how to protect your own power, but how to navigate the world with grace, influence, and profound insight. If you are ready to move from being a player in the game to understanding the board itself, then let us continue our journey. Here are 9 more unspoken laws to architect a life of wisdom and quiet strength. 1. The art of social harmony. Never outshine the master. This is not a call for false humility, but a lesson in the delicate nature of the human ego. In any hierarchy, those above you need to feel secure in their position. Your brilliance, if displayed recklessly, can feel like a threat, casting a shadow of insecurity upon them. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer noted that to be immediately recognized and admired is a sign of mediocrity. True genius often makes people uncomfortable at first. The path of wisdom is not to dim your own light, but to learn how to shine it. When you have a brilliant idea, frame it as a successful extension of your leader's vision. Make them a partner in your success. By making those above you appear more brilliant, you are not diminishing yourself. You are demonstrating a high level of social intelligence. You transform a potential rival into a powerful ally, who will then be happy to help you rise. Imagine, a talented young chef creates a revolutionary new dish. When the restaurant owner comes to taste it, the chef doesn't say, "Look at my brilliant creation." Instead, she says, "I was inspired by the philosophy you built for this restaurant, and it led me to this idea." The owner now feels like a mentor, not a competitor, and proudly promotes the dish and the chef as a product of his own wise leadership. The power of strategic flaws never appear too perfect. To be human is to be flawed. To appear perfect is to appear inhuman, and it is a dangerous illusion. While we should strive for excellence, projecting an image of flawless perfection creates not admiration, but silent envy. Envy is a destructive emotion in others. It works in the shadows and thrives on your downfall. The Japanese aesthetic of wabi-sabi finds profound beauty in imperfection and impermanence. A perfectly symmetrical pot is less interesting than one with a small, unique crack. This is a powerful metaphor for human connection. Your flaws and vulnerabilities are what make you relatable, trustworthy, and human. Example: a highly successful CEO is giving a major presentation. She could begin by listing her company's flawless record. Instead, she starts with a short, humorous story about a small, relatable mistake she made earlier that week. The audience doesn't see her as weak. They see her as authentic. They relax. Their envy subsides, and they become far more receptive to her message because they feel connected to her as a fellow human being. 3. The law of mutual benefit. Appeal to people's self-interest. This is one of the most misunderstood laws, often seen as cynical. But in reality, it is the cornerstone of empathy and effective collaboration. When you ask for help, appealing to someone's mercy or past favors, puts them on the defensive. But when you frame your request in terms of their own self-interest, you align your goals with theirs. This is not manipulation. It is a deep understanding of human nature. As the French philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote, "We are generally the better persuaded by the reasons we discover ourselves than by those given to us by others." Help them discover their own reason to help you. Imagine you want to start a community garden in your neighborhood. You could ask for volunteers by saying, "Please help. It's the right thing to do." A few might come. Or you could approach the owner of the local cafe and say, "This garden will bring more families and foot traffic to this street every weekend, and you'll have fresh, local herbs for your kitchen." You have now aligned your vision with their success. You have given them a reason to want what you want. 4. The psychology of decisive action. Enter with boldness. Hesitation is a signal of weakness. When you are unsure, your doubt infects your actions and creates doubt in everyone around you. Boldness, on the other hand, is a magnet for confidence. A decisive action, even if imperfect, inspires belief and momentum. Timidity is dangerous because it communicates a lack of faith in yourself. The Roman historian Tacitus wrote, "The desire for safety stands against every great and noble enterprise." To achieve anything worthwhile, you must overcome the timid impulse to wait for perfect certainty. Let's say a startup is ready to launch its new app. The founders are nervous. There are still minor bugs. They could choose a timid launch, releasing it quietly with apologies for its flaws. This would signal to the market that they don't believe in their own product. Instead, they choose a bold launch. They announce it with confidence, highlight its revolutionary features, and frame it as an exciting new journey. This boldness attracts early adopters and investors who are drawn to the founders' unwavering belief in their vision. 5. The wisdom of patience and timing. Master the art of timing. There are 3 types of time you must learn to recognize: the long time of patience and observation, the quick time of decisive action, and the end time of knowing when to stop. Most people are slaves to one rhythm. They are always rushing or always waiting. The wise person is a master of all 3. The ancient Greeks had a word for this, kairos. It means the supreme, opportune moment. It is the perfect time to act. This is not about luck. It is about the wisdom to recognize the right moment when it arrives. Imagine a skilled investor sees a new technology emerging. She doesn't rush in, timidity, or dismiss it, arrogance. For months, she practices patience, studying the market, researching the companies, and observing the trends. She waits and watches as others make their moves. Then, when the moment is perfectly ripe, after a market dip, but before the mainstream catches on, she acts with speed and immense force, making a decisive investment. Her success came not just from what she did, but from when she did it. 6. The law of connection. Do not build fortresses. In a dangerous world, the instinct to build a fortress and isolate yourself seems logical. But isolation is a trap. It cuts you off from vital information, makes you a conspicuous target, and starves you of the strength that comes from community. The great philosopher Aristotle taught that man is by nature a social animal. Our strength, our resilience, and our knowledge are amplified through our connections with others. A fortress protects you from attack, but it also prevents you from seeing the world, finding allies, and receiving crucial intelligence. Consider a new CEO takes over a struggling company. Her first instinct might be to lock herself in her office, to analyze spreadsheets. This is building a fortress. Instead, she spends her first month walking the factory floor, having lunch in the cafeteria, and talking to employees at every level. She circulates. She finds allies. She gets unfiltered information that she never would have seen from her office. She is shielded not by walls, but by the crowd. 7. The power of strategic spontaneity. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Humans are pattern-seeking creatures. Your predictability gives others a sense of control over you. They know how you'll react, what you'll say, what you'll do. By deliberately breaking your own patterns, you shatter this illusion of control and force them to pay attention. This is not about being erratic, it is about being strategic. A single, unpredictable move can reset the entire dynamic of a relationship or situation. Sun Tzu advised to be subtle even to the point of formlessness. When your actions have no predictable pattern, your opponent cannot prepare a defense. Imagine a creative team has fallen into a rut. Their weekly meetings are stale and unproductive. The manager, sensing this, breaks the pattern. One week, instead of the usual meeting, she takes the team to an art museum and simply says, "Let's look for inspiration." The unpredictable move shatters the stale routine, sparks new conversations, and resets the team's creative energy. 8. The Stoic art of indifference, disdain, things you cannot have. By acknowledging a petty problem or obsessing over something you cannot attain, you give it power. You are allowing it to occupy your mind and drain your energy. The more attention you pay to an enemy or an obstacle, the stronger you make it. This is a core teaching of Stoic philosophy. As Epictetus taught, we must distinguish between what is in our control and what is not. To desire what is not in your control is a recipe for suffering. The ultimate power move is to show graceful indifference. Imagine a writer receives a harsh, unfair review of their book. The normal reaction would be to get angry, to write a rebuttal, to complain about the critic. This only gives the critic and the review more power. The wise, Stoic response is to ignore it completely. By showing no reaction, you communicate that the review is irrelevant to you. You refuse to give it your energy. You treat it with the disdain it deserves, and in doing so, you rob it of its ability to harm you. 9. Master the art of presence. Court attention. This is not about being the loudest person in the room. It is about understanding that what is unseen counts for nothing. You must ensure that your work and your value are made visible. True masters of this law often do so with an air of mystery and quiet magnetism, not with desperate, attention-seeking behavior. Oscar Wilde famously said, "It is better to be talked about than not to be talked about. In a crowded world, you must find a way to stand out." Imagine at a large corporate conference, most people are networking by loudly exchanging business cards and talking over one another. But there is one engineer who is standing quietly by her project display, not speaking to anyone. The display itself is so elegant, so innovative, and so compelling that a crowd begins to form around it. She has courted attention not through her words, but through the sheer, undeniable quality of her work. When the CEO finally comes over, she doesn't need to shout. She has already captured the attention of everyone who matters. These laws are not a prescription for a single way of life. They are a set of tools. They are lenses through which you can view the complex machinery of human interaction. The goal is not to use them against others, but to use them to build a more conscious, intentional, and empowered version of yourself. To understand these rules is to move from being a passenger in your life to becoming its architect. You now have the blueprints. The only remaining question is, what will you choose to build?